DeFi Slate team.
What's up, y'all? Real quick, if you like the DeFi Slate content on Twitter and YouTube and Substack, please give us a like and a subscribe on this video on YouTube. Join our channel, join the community. We'd really appreciate it. We're pumping this stuff out for y'all as much as we can, and we really enjoy the support and the community that we've built. Thank you very much and enjoy.
Hey guys, what is going on? This is DeFi Slate with another video. Today we're talking to the Hermez project. Today we have Jeff and David as guests. So Hermez is a ZK rollup layer 2. They're all about decreasing transaction fees on Ethereum and increasing transaction speed. So, you know, you've probably heard about some other layer 2s, and Hermez is another one to be thrown into the mix here. So I'm going to pass it off to Jeff and let him introduce himself, and then we will get started on what is going on at Hermez and everything about Ethereum. So how's it going today, Jeff?
I'm doing great. And what about you?
Yeah, doing well, man. It's another beautiful day in Florida, so we're just kicking it.
Amazing.
Yeah, man. So maybe you can tell people kind of your background here and what led you to the Hermez project.
Yeah, I'm a senior blockchain engineer at Hermez. I got lucky to be invited and hired by David to start since March to help to Hermez grow and create this, I think, very valuable project for the Ethereum ecosystem. I used to work for in PayPal since 2016. When I left PayPal, I started to work with Ethereum and create some kind. As I'm Golang developer, I was helping to some projects in Ethereum infrastructure. Also create some dApps using Solidity and JavaScript. And I think 2.5 months helping Hermez, to develop this, I think, this valuable project for the Ethereum ecosystem.
Yeah, and before, David, maybe you can explain a little bit more about your background and how you got started with Hermez. A real quick question for you, Jeff. Was it a big culture shock in terms of the work that you were doing with a centralized team at Hermez and more of I'm not sure how decentralized you guys are, but more of an open project on the blockchain with Hermez?
I think was not a. I worked with another, how could I say, remote projects, people from different places in the world. I think this is very common in the blockchain world. In general, blockchain projects are international projects. So that's the good part. When you create a dApp, this kind of your software is deployed in more than 5,000 servers in different servers in the world. So I think the join Hermez wasn't that complicated. It's very, we have people from, I think, 5 different countries in different, I think, 4 different time zones. So it was kind of very pleasant, to talk to different people with different cultures.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I mean, we talk to people all over the world with crypto, and it's really unifying, just kind of connecting to people all over the world and rallying around some common technology. Cool. So yeah, David, I think you are the founder and kind of, took Jeff into the project. Kind of what was the motivation behind the project, and kind of what led you up to this point to start Hermez?
Yeah, well, I'm one of the founders, together with Jordi and Anthony. The idea was to just Jordi convinced me to work with him into the identity project, which is called IN3. This was 2017, and then we just started to solve problems with identity. And one we found critical was the scalability problem. And since we wanted to implement this identity model in Ethereum, we wanted to get some some experience with scalability. And by the end of 2019, we had a proof of concept of the first rollup implementation, Zk-Rollup implementation. And we decided to go for it in a different model, in a decentralized model, written in Golang by the mid-2020. The motivation was to get our own implementation of a rollup, decentralized by design, and also to get experience to solve the identity scalability problem that we already are trying to do. But well, many things have happened since we started the project, and we have now different challenges. We can talk about this now, but many topics to cover. Very interesting point today.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one thing I'm interested in is a little bit more technical, I guess, how Hermez and its Zk technology differs from Polygon, which, you know, really is kind of shown itself as more of a leader of these other L2s. Maybe you could compare and contrast a little bit and get into some of the other you know, topics that you mentioned.
Okay. Well, Polygon, they are very strong today and in a side chain based on Plasma, if I'm not wrong. I'm not the expert in Polygon, but our proposition here is it's a Zk-Rollup, which is a layer 2 solution. So this scalability solution runs on top of Ethereum. We leverage on all the security that Ethereum provides. And in this model, we run some smart contracts, and we have also some protocol, not just to manage this transition of states in layer 2, but also to have a decentralized protocol to accept the permissionless coordinators or validators. So compared to Polygon, we are different. Yeah. There are many other layer 2 solutions grouped basically in optimistic rollups and Zk-Rollups, and we are part of this Zk-Rollup environment.
Gotcha. And I've, you know, kind of crossed the bridge back and forth between the Polygon network and Ethereum's main chain, and they still have a delay period. I think it's 3 days, maybe 7 days, to bring funds from Polygon network back to the main Ethereum L1. Is that the same case for Zk technology, or is that only kind of a function of side chains rather than the rollups?
Yeah, this is a problem that the side chains need to face. Layer 2 solutions, they are just on top of Ethereum. In our case, we have this, call it settlement, which is pretty instant. We call it, our consensus protocol is decentralized, so we don't have centralized servers at this point. The coordinators can just be anyone. We just can participate into the consensus protocol, and the transactions are just settled in layer 1. So you need to put the funds, and we call it deposit in layer 2, and you can do a withdrawal, but this is pretty fast. It's called a matter of minutes. So it's different technology, different model, I would say.
Yeah, and the scalability narrative is taking over. I mean, we're just now starting to see some on ramps that are able to process fiat directly to L2, which, in my opinion, I'd like to hear your thoughts. You know, that's really opening up the floodgates for some more adoption, because, you know, people don't ever have to hit L1 and pay $30, $40, $50 for some sort of transaction. And right away, they have the ability to engage with DeFi protocols on layer 2. Do you guys have any plans to implement some sort of fiat to L2 gateway, maybe work with some custody providers or, you know, different exchanges?
Well, we have a plan to onboard exchanges. In fact, we have on board some. Hermez is a project that doesn't intend to be kind of an intermediary in the user experience. We are just providing a decentralized network. And then we need to build this ecosystem of actors just providing services. We call it exchanges. We have users. We have other wallets. We have other networks to connect. So probably these services that you mentioned, they are very interesting for somebody who wants just to provide this exchange in layer 2 or bring liquidity on ramp and so on. But it's not in our scope. We are just providing the infrastructure and the decentralized network. So probably someone else. We're trying to provide the tools. Everything we do is open source. We open the SDKs. So we provide all the tools that other projects can use. And maybe these projects already exist. I want to do some integration between networks, some bridging, some applications, and the DeFi components. It's we're just trying to do something well, which is bringing this network into the scene and make this happen in a decentralized way and a very convenient way.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting how there's lots of different solutions almost to the same problem. I'm sure you're aware of that scalability trilemma, right? Where you have 3 corners, and it's really where you can only pick one or kind of a sacrificed blend of each of the 3, being scalability, security, and decentralization. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting kind of how these different solutions to the same scalability problem are popping up. Maybe you could explain a little bit more how you found that product market fit, how you brought your solution and kind of offer that value where it's missing in other parts of the ecosystem.
So our solution, I mean, we weren't exploring these scalability solutions like kind of 2 years ago, and it was complex. We wanted to bring something which was transparent to Ethereum, which was also not sacrificing security. As you said, the trilemma is difficult to solve. And, the scalability part, we were very keen on the zero knowledge. Jordi has created the 𝗃 language and some libraries to run the runtime for the zero knowledge. We were applying this to the privacy in identities, but at some point, we thought it would be interesting also to apply this to scalability. It was an effort of a community, some ideas arose, and we were also participating there. So for us, the Zk model, where we just process the transactions in a layer 2, but it's off-chain, and then we just compute these validity proofs to just, it's cryptographic, it's something based on mathematics, and transactions are done in a correct way, or the proof is not created. And you have this rule of transactions between change of states caused by transactions, and these validity proofs are validated on chain. Also, we just not store the proof, but also all the data in these transactions. So this is the model we believed it was good. And other projects that they are doing Zk-Rollups, they were even faster than us to bring this into the scene. And it was very, very exciting to see this in production. Our approach is just to do this in a decentralized way from the beginning. We thought on how to do this trustless, with a need to somebody trust into the operator, And this was our contribution. Also, we have a very big knowledge into this zero knowledge technologies, and we wanted to bring something very efficient, because the first problem we wanted to solve is the scalability of transactions. We wanted that these transactions are really cheap. So we brought the cryptographic technology, which is the most efficient. And also, we wanted also to be interoperable. So we proposed some models for this problem of different layer 2s and how can the user just move tokens around. And we proposed a solution that needs to be discussed with more groups, and it will be perfect. It could be accepted or something similar to this, but we need to interoperate at some point.
How does this fit into your vision of Ethereum overall? You want to be interoperable with the different applications. I've heard others say that we're kind of leaning towards a world where there's different layers, different L2s or side chains for different purposes, like, games or gambling or DeFi. It, do you kind of see things the same way? Do you think Ethereum kind of takes on more of a Internet of blockchains type of format? Where do you see Hermes kind of fitting into your vision of Ethereum overall over the next few years?
Well, Hermes is it's our own proposal. We wanted to propose a different model, specifically for the efficiency and decentralization and interoperability, a specific proposal we have. We don't know if it's going to be successful or not. Of course, we have our own roadmap, and everything is open source. We want to contribute. Probably other groups could benefit from our ideas if it makes sense. Or we have our own roadmap, and this roadmap is very ambitious, I would say, because we are trying. These technologies are very experimental at this point, and we need to build some castles of interoperabilities and features and so on. So it's clear that there are many options, and it's difficult to understand which one is better for what. But as you said, it seems like it makes sense to have this ecosystem of alternatives around Ethereum, depending on the purpose and depending on the application. Today, we focus on token transfers. Our roadmap is also to develop a solution to run smart contracts on zero knowledge. And this should be conserving the properties of decentralization and interoperability. This is the model we have. Of course, these things change very fast because we have new EIPs, comes Ethereum 2.0. We will see, because this is a fast changing space. But our roadmap is just to bring this own specification and protocols and implementation. And then we think we have our strengths, we have our differences, and it's probably something that we will see in the next months. If it's some ideas we have make more sense, or other people's ideas make more sense, we will see. But the project is still in development, and it's open. And it's something is not written in stone. But we want this to contribute to bring something that makes sense, that provides value, and this is something is still ongoing. It's an ongoing effort.
May I add a few things?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Okay, so I think as David mentioned in the beginning, I think our idea is to provide a platform. So over our platform that we are over in Ethereum, I think our entrepreneurs or other developers, other people can create new kind of stuff. And the good part to create a platform is that after people start to use your platform, they come up with new ideas or new business that you never thought before, So I think creative people can learn more about Hermes and start to create new stuff. So I think our idea, so that's something that I felt in love in the first time when I start to studying Hermes before to join the group, was that, wow, this is a decentralized model that I can scale up, but I have security because I can create a application top of Hermes, and I don't know, maybe something. For instance, if David decide to do other things in his life, okay, I give up. I don't want to work on Hermes anymore. The project, the platform doesn't rely on him, doesn't rely on Jordi. The project is, besides to be open source, all the data, all the important data are stored in Ethereum. So the Hermes can still go on and work properly without the team, the original team. It's a very strong platform. So that's why I think nowadays, even within 2.0, I think we are going to achieve good things, because good people can create nice projects on top of Hermes. And if the Ethereum scale, of course, Hermes is going to scale. And so more good stuff people can build on top of our platform.
Gotcha. Are y'all a DAO?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Is your project, is Hermez a DAO, like a decentralized autonomous organization?
Yeah, no, it's not a DAO. I mean, we explained this in the white paper. We have plans to decentralize also the management of the network. At this point, we are in the bootstrap phase, and this phase is where we just test the concepts, deploy technology, manage the basic parameters. We have to be sure that the security is the right one and the maturity of the network is growing. At the beginning, also the network needs to bootstrap in a number of transactions to become more secure as any other blockchain, and also need to bootstrap the network of validators. But at some point, the strategy here is to minimize the governance here. We want to just transform every activity that today is done by management. We need to just decentralize via smart contract, and ideally, we will try to just reduce to almost zero the management and the governance. If there are some parameters that needs to be just governed in some way, we will just set up a DAO. But this will be decided some months from now. We're still just in the bootstrap phase. Our intentions are very clear. As much as we can decentralize, the better.
Yeah, gotcha. Can you kind of explain more like how these phases will roll out? You mentioned you're in the bootstrapping phase now. What is the plan, for the rest of the bootstrapping phase in the short term, and then kind of the next couple phases after that?
Yeah, well, the phase is just bootstrap, and the bootstrap is we set up the network, we just launched. We are still improving many features and so on. On the way, we are also testing the protocols. They are very new, they are very experimental in some point. So we need to just set up and test everything. And we are just, well, a protocol works in time slots. So we have the ways to just set up some configuration for every hour has six slots that repeat over time. And we will start decentralizing some of these slots for any permissionless coordinator to just control the network. As there are more transactions, these slots will be gradually decentralized until they are all decentralized. And it's a configuration that cannot be undone. So this is the process. As we grow in transactions, more slots from today is 0. There will be 6 slots, will be completely decentralized. Then the network will fly along. They will need to just also change the smart contracts for the last time to just change the governance and the multi-sig on control, and this is done. So what we need to do is to, for example, there's a process to create registered tokens in the network, and we need to do this automatically for somebody to just pay some fees and the token will be there. So these specific points where we need to do some changes today needs to be transformed in a way that this will be decentralized.
Yeah, and if you can automate the process where it kind of unlocks that new validator automatically by someone paying a fee, right, then you don't need any manual processes or any admin. Is there certain incentive mechanisms that you have built into the system to kind of prepare for that? I guess, like, is there a token coming out is really the question there. But yeah, like what do some of the incentives look like, whether that looks like liquidity mining or some sort of validator reward? What do you guys have planned?
Well, we actually have a token. It's the Hermez network token, and this token is used for the validators to participate in the consensus protocol, which is auction based. So coordinators need to place a bid, and the highest bid earns the right to just create blocks and create we call it batches. So this is the use for a token, and this token is also used to collect the value from the bid, and this value in the auction is distributed in three ways. The one part is burned to avoid collusion games and these kind of things. Other part is donated to other projects in the community to fund. We started with Bitcoin, but it could be other projects, which 40% of what is collected is donated, and 30% will be used for payment of the boot coordinator initially, but then will be zero, and it will be used for user rewards. So there will be a model when the users, as they go, they receive some rewards for using the network. So this is the governance will also be based in tokens, if any governance, and this is basically the model.
Yeah. So at first, I guess it sounded initially like the token might be correlated to gas cost, where if there was more transactions, validators would collect more rewards and paid out to more token holders. But it sounds like there's a very wide distribution here, going to some Gitcoin grants, other projects, and funding other sources, where it's not really correlated to transaction cloggage really on the network congestion. It isn't so much correlated to the token price.
You mean the Hermez token price?
Yeah, like
No.
it's not too affected, even though it is generating some rewards from transactions on the Hermez network.
Yeah, the value here, the key value here is the number of transactions in the network, because this value just marks or just position which is the price of the auction. The more transactions, the more a coordinator will pay for this right, because the coordinator collects all the fees. So the parameter here is not the Hermez token price, it's just the value in the network in general, in transactions.
Gotcha.
So this value will also be distributed to Bitcoin grants. We have already talked with them. They were even considering to create a specific fund for this, but it's open. We are, as I said before, we don't want to participate in the governance because it needs to be decentralized. So at some point, this will be automated. We are even considering, we were talking with the Ethereum Foundation, just in case they can implement a router for these funds to decide if they go to Bitcoin or somewhere else, depending on the maturity of other funds. So we don't want to be in control where these funds are distributed. It's something that needs to be managed by the community. The objective here is to get this value back to the community. We leverage on the layer one. Probably makes sense that some value gets back to layer one and other projects around the community to just develop this ecosystem.
Yeah,
and that's the objective.
Like a community-owned layer two. Not something that is just individually owned even by the token holders, but goes back to the entire community. It's charitable, and we're seeing more and more charity coins, but ultimately I think is part of a greater feedback loop that is Ethereum as a whole. Really, because without Ethereum's main chain, there wouldn't be a lot of layer twos on top of that, of course, operating transactions and adding to that. Well, that's great, and you guys have a lot of things coming up in the future. Is there it's live now? Is there a lot of applications that are on Hermez? Do you guys have any farms, like yield farms, that are happening on Hermez layer 2?
No. At this point, Hermez only supports transactions. So kind of applications we can support is just the ones that just provide these token transfers. So in the roadmap, we have this feature of smart contract support, but it's not ready yet. So this is the model. Today, you can integrate and applications that can do micropayments or transactions, they're fine. But we are in the phase of the bootstrapping yet, and we have this integration with exchanges ongoing, and also integration with wallets. We are working to grow the ecosystem at this point. Gotcha. This is the situation. I mean, it's we want to grow more, and we want to support more transactions as possible. We also have a promotion which starts next week. We have a campaign for user reward. We did an initial airdrop. I think it was 1.5 months ago for Bitcoin donors, and now the second way of promoting the network will be just for users that they can approach the network and try the service, so they can just receive some value back from that. So
Great.
it's announced in Twitter and so on. So the next thing we will do is to enable a feature of token swaps, so users can just use the liquidity that exchanges on Hermes can be provided, and these users will be able to swap tokens seamlessly from the wallet and in a very convenient way, without getting into the having to log into these exchanges. It's for non-traders. There's these occasional swaps, and this is an interesting feature we can provide very soon for users to just having more use cases in Hermes.
And by the time our audience is watching this, which is probably next week or sometime, you know, I imagine the airdrop is going to be live. So what are some of the next steps that, you know, someone watching this should take to claim, you know, their portion of their airdrop and then ultimately provide liquidity on Hermes?
For the airdrop, you only need to follow basic steps, which is do a deposit in Hermes. Just put some funds there from the supported token list. You can find them in hermes.io. And from here, you have in the wallet, you have a guidance. You need to do a couple of transactions, and from here, you just will see which is the reward you will get. So it's the first round. We're gonna make more rounds, depending on how this first one is going. We will, you know, change a little the requirements to just guide the users through the experience we are interested. For example, if we launch the token swap, probably this reward will be focused on token swap. So this is what we want to do today to promote the use of the Hermes.
Awesome, great. And then providing liquidity after that, just kind of engage with Hermes and they'll be able to provide liquidity for swaps?
To provide liquidity at this point is just limited to exchanges, but we are providing also, we will provide some APIs and some SDK for someone else to do it at some point. But at this point, it's not open. We are just developing this today. And once it's released, we will share with the community which are the possibilities about this.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. So guys, head over to Hermes and make a couple transactions so you can claim your portion of the airdrop. It's been great talking to you guys, David and Jeff. Thank you for coming on. Is there anything you guys want to add to anyone listening before we hop off?
I would like to invite the developers that is in audience to check it out. Our GitHub is github.com/Hermes Network. As David said, we have a couple of very, you know, Hermes node is open source. Other tools related to Zk-Rollup is also open source. So I invited the developers to, you know, visit our GitHub, use, and if you want to collaborate, the project is open to PRs. So send the contributions. All contributions going to be very welcome.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to add to what Jeff just said. I think he's very right. We are open to collaborations. We are open to feedback. We want to learn from other people's experience, and especially from developers. So Jeff here is a strong person regarding this contact with developers. We have set up a couple of hackathons now. There's one open. I think it's the hack.money, and I think it's interesting if you want to follow us in the social media and social networks. Also to just be in contact with us to participate in hackathons and provide feedback. That will be awesome.
Great. All right, guys. Well, check it out. That's hermes.io. Check out their GitHub and yeah, claim your airdrop. This is the layer 2 for the people. So, all right, guys.
Yeah.